So flipping sides of the ball, because we talked about some of the lesser experienced guys getting opportunities to get touches on the offensive side, and two of them scoring touchdowns. Jason, last week you talked about the impact and who's going to be the guy to step up in KJ Winston's absence, and Dejuan Lane was the guy that you brought up and mentioned, so I wanted to get your guys' thoughts, because he was one of the guys that got some reps and played a pretty substantial role on this defense. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on Lane's performance in this one. And then I guess secondarily, James Franklin was talking about a situation where when everybody's healthy, he could actually envision a scenario where it's Lane and Wheatley as the safeties, with Reed being able to play into a little bit of a slot role, a nickel role, kind of a hybrid role. And he used the term, the lion position. So first, let's talk about Lane, and then I want to get to what that means for maybe somebody that doesn't understand it. So, Jason, you brought Lane up last week, so I want to start with you. What did you see from him? How did he step up, and what were your expectations of him, and did he meet them?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, the biggest thing I wanted to see out of him is, one, him play fast, and then number two, him not, make a lot of mental errors. In Coach Franklin's Wednesday practice interview, he had talked about Dejuan Lane. He talked about KJ Winston and how KJ is still going to have a great leadership role for him. I imagine KJ is the kind of guy, I've talked to him a lot. He's the kind of guy where if he's hurt, he's going to be right there on your hip, making sure you still know what to do, coaching you up. And I imagine all that week he was doing that with Dejuan, because I thought Dejuan went out there and played really well. You could tell the game plan around him was, we're going to put Dejuan where he's most comfortable, and then we'll move other pieces around. We saw Jay Reed not really in that line position as much, kind of playing more true half safety, a lot more in that game, and kind of letting Dejuan take his other natural position at the other safety spot. But I thought he played well. I thought he played fast. There weren't any huge explosive plays, balls going over his head from that standpoint, which was really good to see. I thought he just did a good job of allowing the game to come to him, because, when you're geeked up, you've been a reserve guy. You want to go out there and show what you could do. So you start to play out of the system a little bit. You start to do a little bit too much and overcompensate for somebody else's job instead of just doing what you're supposed to do. And I didn't feel any of that from him in this game, which was really good to see.
Yeah, no, Jason, I agree with everything that you said. And I said, just those game reps are priceless. I remember we would go over and practice in the stadium. We have scrimmages in the stadium. And when you put butts in those seats and you hear that crowd going, it's a whole different dynamic. And those wide receivers start putting it in that extra gear, it's like, whoa, like it's real now. So to be able to get those, I don't care if it's Kent State, whatever, any school you want, as long as you're getting game reps, those are priceless. And I always say, as a DB, it was often somewhat different for me when you have a full stadium and just trying to capture the ball coming out of the quarterback's hand. It's like sometimes you don't see it off the bat. Probably was just me, because I probably wasn't that good of a DB, but just being able to have that focus of the crowd and tracking the ball is so different from when you have just an empty stadium. So just
That's very true. That is very true.
You don't really think about are so much more helpful when you're out there in an actual game situation.
That's such a minute detail that you just explained, just the phenomena of the ball and how it blends in with people in the crowd and in the stadium when it's in the air. Most people don't even think about that as being a thing. It is very, very different to catch a go ball when there's 100,000 fans in the stadium and when it's completely different. It's the same thing like in basketball when you go to different stadiums and the lighting is a little bit different. That can sometimes mess with the way you look at the rim and how you shoot your normal jump shot. So that's one of those minute details where live bullets and in live game experience can just be absolutely priceless.
Yep.
So the other point of that question that I was curious about, because I've heard this term before, and coaches have different terms for it, like, the weapon position or like a positionless type of player. When James Franklin refers to the lion position, what does that entail? And what's the role of that type of player? Are they expected to play multiple different positions? Are they expected to be in different fronts? Can you guys explain that lion position a little bit and what that means for James Franklin and for Tom Allen's defense?
Yeah, see, I didn't have the luxury of playing under Coach Franklin. It was Tom Bradley when I was there. And I'm trying to remember what term we use. I want to call it I think we used Trojan back when I was playing. And it was, to your exact point, Tyler, it was that one person that could really come down in the box, the person that could, guard the slot, someone that could drop back into safety. So we called him a jack of all trades. And usually the best athletes on the team, because not every, I couldn't do that. It was usually, I wasn't the type of guy that really wanted to come down and put my head in things. I wanted to be able to guard the wide, cover the wide receiver and leave me alone. But you got to have those guys that are willing to come up, lay the wood when they need to, but also drop back in coverage. So it's a special type of player to be able to take on that role. And Jason, I know you've seen it, much more than I have, but I'll be the first to admit I was not that guy. I was not that guy.
Yeah. Honestly, when I was there, we didn't have a line on defense, but when we have a line position, it's speaking to the versatility of guys. When I was playing, the guy who played the line position was actually Tommy Stevens on offense. The guy who you keep seeing ripping off these 50, 60, and 70-yard runs in the CFL right now. He was one of our quarterbacks. And when we played with Tommy, man, we literally used to call this dude like the white Cam Newton, because this dude was like just phenomenal. Big as hell, fast as hell, 4.5 speed, could absolutely sling it. Arm talent was there. Just overall an absolutely great athlete. And for the line position on offense, we kind of see a guy like Bo Pribula do it a lot, where he's out in slot at the slot wide receiver. Okay, he's coming in motion, taking handoffs. Sometimes he's running it. Sometimes he's passing it. Sometimes he's in at the Wildcat quarterback, and it's quarterback design runs. So really, that line position is just a guy who is able to bring a extra element and kind of extend the offense and its repertoire and what it's able and capable of doing, and what the offense coordinator is capable of calling, to kind of make it harder on defenses to kind of figure out, okay, the personnel is this, but are we playing it like it's 11? Are we playing it like it's 21? And what way is this guy being used? And I think that's what I've loved so much about the way Coach K has been calling this offense, because he's presenting so many problems for defenses right now. Between the regular flow offense, between Drew and Bo both being in the game, between Tyler Warren now coming in game, and he's coming in as a Wildcat guy. Okay, is he throwing the ball? Is he running the ball? Is he handing it off and being elite? There's just so much that Andy's throwing at defenses right now, where as a defensive coordinator, it's like, man, like, we only have so many periods to focus on certain things. What are we going to pick and choose? Because there's just going to be certain things that, hey, if you see this formation, just play your base call and just play it out, because we don't have time to come up with nothing special in 2-3 days of preparation. That's the awesome thing about it.